Hey publishers, so today I want to talk about how do you get more done without having to add on extra time, right? So people often ask me, they're like, hey Ty, how do you get so much done between like having multiple businesses, having, having your wife, having your children, having a team to run, and then personal time, right? So like, today I've got a ton of things that are going on. So I ended up getting up at 9 o'clock in the morning. So I got like 8 hours worth of sleep. I feel really good about that because sleep is super important. And I went in, worked on a couple of things, some presentations, because we've got webinars today at 2 o'clock. That's gonna run from like 2 to 3:30, and then I've got another one that's at 8. That's gonna run from like 8 to 9:30 or so. So I was working on getting those presentations together, and now I'm actually heading to the gym so I could then come back and do a coaching call at 12 o'clock. So right before I go in to a doctor's appointment that I have today at 3 o'clock, right? So I've got to be at the doctor's appointment at 2:45. So I'm gonna have to, it's about 30 minutes away from me. And then after that, tonight is my daughter's senior night, so we actually have to line up, my wife and I, at 4:30. So this morning in the bathroom, my wife is telling me like, make sure you're there on time. And I'm like, look, I'm never late for anything. If there's one thing that I'm really good at, it's being on time and being before time. My dad used to say, if you're not before time, if you're not ahead of time, you're late, right? If you're on time, you're late. So I took that to heart as a kid. So how do you get more done than most people, right? I remember back in the day, and you guys probably remember this, there used to be a commercial, and it was for the Army, and it was like, we get more done before 9 a.m. than most people get done all day, right? Let me know in the comments if you remember that. I think it said, we get more done before 9 a.m. than most people get done all day. And I thought that was fascinating. Like, I was always really intrigued by that. I was like, even as a kid, I'm like, how do they get more done before 9 a.m. than most people get done all day? Because I'm thinking like, okay, if you're getting this done before 9 a.m., then that means that you only have a couple of hours. You got to be really strategic. You got to be really structured. You've got to plan really well. You have to be really focused. You can't let the outside distractions get you. So as a teenager, that always intrigued me. And I kind of adopted that early on. Like, how do I get more done than most people would get done all day? Like, how do I take this short period of time and kind of compress it and do so that I can have a really good high quality of life, right? So meaning I have personal time to myself, time with my kids, time with my wife, time to just screw up things if I want to, like, time to one of my favorite shows is The Impractical Jokers. So the time to go watch The Impractical Jokers, or time to King of Queens with Kevin James is one of my favorite shows, old shows, right? So time to go watch those shows. Or me and my wife in the afternoon will watch Family Feud, right? So time to do that type of stuff. So you're not just working, but you also have a productive business, right? So one of the things that I learned early, and I'm going to give you a couple of things, right? So these will help you out. If you're in your business right now and you feel overwhelmed, and it's like, how do I complete all of this when it's just me? Or it's just me and maybe one other person. So I'm going to show you how you do this if it's just you, right? Because one of the things that I learned early on was that if there's something like I would spend days and hours and late nights. Sometimes I would be up to 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning trying to figure things out. Because at that time there was no YouTube, right? There weren't many people that were sharing with you how to start like your digital business. There wasn't people that were selling courses or training programs. So you really had to like grind it out and figure it all out on your own. One of the things that I learned early on, and this came from working at Walgreens, right? So I worked at Walgreens Pharmacy, and as a stock person, which is where I started, when I was a stock person, I was assigned my duties, and it was hard for me to get almost everything done in a day, right? So we were unloading trucks. We would have to then go in and price everything. Remember back then you put stickers on everything, you put the prices on everything. We would then have to go in and package everything into like these totes that we had. And then after that, we'd have to take the totes out into the aisles and put them into the proper aisle where that group of items belonged. And then after that, we would have to go in and stack the shelves. We call it stacking the shelves. And we would have to face the shelves, right? Which is taking the newest inventory and putting it in the back and bringing the oldest inventory up front and then lining it up so that it's right at the very edge of a shelf so it looks nice and neat. So doing all of that and then taking the carts back into the warehouse, cleaning up after yourself. And it seemed like, man, how do you get all of this done, just one person? So to be very intentional with my time. And then as I got promoted and I got made into a manager, now I'm saying, well, oh my God. So as a manager, if I have all of these responsibilities, I can delegate them out to my cashiers, to my clerks, to my stock people, right? And now I have a power of 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 different individuals working for me to help me to get my duties done. So I took that when I first started my, not my first business, because that first business was a business of love in a way where I didn't want anyone to touch anything, which was the dumbest thing that I could have done, right? As a business owner, you always think that no one can do it as well as you can do it. But then when I started to get into digital publishing, which is what you probably want to learn about, I started to realize that if I can take the same practice that I took when I was a manager at Walgreens and apply it to my business, I could get so much more done. And that would allow me to work on the things that I really enjoy, what I really love, which was like copywriting, which was like coming up with ideas, right? And then having other people go in and help me to implement those ideas and market them and bring them to life. So I started to do that. But then the biggest objection was, okay, well, again, as an entrepreneur, right, we have this gift and a curse of no one's going to be able to do it as well as I do it. So we have this long to-do list of things that continue to grow and grow and grow day after day after day because you're so afraid of hiring. That's the first thing, right? Afraid of hiring because you think that it's not going to get done the right way. The second thing as an entrepreneur is you're like, man, I don't want to have to go in and teach someone, right? So I don't want to have to go in and show someone how to do this because chances are if I get someone, they're not going to know how to do it the right way, right? So I have to take time out of my day and I don't have time as it is, right? So I'll show you how to overcome that. And then the third thing is budget. As a new entrepreneur, someone that's just starting out, you don't have much money, right? So those are the three of the biggest hurdles that I found that occurred for me. And as I freaking taught like tens of thousands of people, I see that a lot of people suffer from those, and probably you too, which is why you watch this video. So let's knock these things down one by one. So the first one is no one's going to do it as well as I do it, right? So there's that fear, and fear is false evidence appearing real. There's that fear that no one's going to be able to do whatever the thing is. They're not going to be able to write the copy. They're not going to be able to create the products. They're not going to be able to talk to the customers. They're not going to be able to market it, whatever it is for you. And that's the first thing from the truth, to be honest with you. There are some people that are much greater at doing the thing that you think you're just so good at. They they would do this for like minimum wage. They would do it for free. Some people, they just love doing it. There's a job on the face of the earth for every single person, even something weird like cleaning up horse manure. You go to the parade, right? You see that there's this individual or individuals that clean the horse manure, right? They're doing that, sure. Some of them are doing it because they need a job. Some of them are doing it because they just don't mind doing it. It doesn't freak them out, gross them out like it would some people, right? So they just don't mind doing it. Maybe they're, what do you call it, equestrians? Maybe they've been equestrians. Maybe they've been around horses all their life, so it's nothing new to them. All right, so when you get past that thinking of no one's going to be able to do it as good as you can do it, what happens is, my GPS is all off. I'm heading to the gym and it's telling me to turn. I've already turned. So what happens is, get thrown off for a minute. So what happens is you have this ever-growing to-do list, right? You have this ever-growing to-do list and nothing gets done. the thing that will help you to get the most momentum keeps getting pushed back and back and back and back. But then when you hire people and you bring people on, and then what happens is you start to be able to build your business and grow it and scale it, all right? So get past that fear. Some of the sites that you can use, like you can go on sites like Upwork, you can go on sites like Fiverr. There's 1,000,001 sites out there where you can go and then you can hire people, all right? And that leads me to my second point. The second point is, as a new entrepreneur, you're like, well, Ty, yeah, you can do it. You got money, right? You can go and you can hire a team, you can pay for things. Well, no, remember when I first started, that was not the case. I didn't have dough to go in and do this stuff, right? So that's a false fear. It's another false fear. You can literally go in and hire people to do one-off projects, and this is what I advise, right? I advise that when you go on like Upwork or you go on, like a Fiverr, you don't pay, and primarily like Upwork, you don't pay by the hour. You pay per project. If you're paying by the hour, what happens is you might every once in a while get someone who's gonna milk that time, and something that literally could take them maybe 4 hours to do, they might stretch it out to 6, 7, 8 hours, right? Especially if they feel like you don't know how long it should take, right? So what I did when I first got started is I made that mistake, and I would go and I would pay people by the hour, and then I would be like, man, I could do this in like 45 minutes. Why the hell is it taking you 3 hours to do it? Then I realized that not everyone is ethical. Some people go in and they milk the game, they milk the system. So then I got smart and I started paying per project. I'm like, okay, I need you to build out this website or whatever it is, this funnel, whatever it is. I need you to write these emails, whatever it is. And I'm not going to pay by the hour, but it's per project. I'll pay you, $20 to finish this project, to create this graphic for me, right? It's $20 and that's it. So get really good at paying per project, and the way that you get good at doing this is just by going out and doing it and starting really small. Start out with projects that you could pay someone $10 to do, $20 to do, so that way you get used to doing it, you get used to hiring, you get used to communicating, you get used to delegating, you get used to pricing, and then you get used to negotiating, because the price that the freelancer throws out there for you, that's not the price that you actually have to pay. If they go in and they say, hey, I'll do this for $50, you could be like, hey, and I do this all the time, it becomes a really fun game. You know what? That's okay. My budget is $25. If you can do it for $25, I'll hire you right now. If you can't, then I'll have to go get someone else. And 9 times out of 10, they'll come back and they'll say, okay, well, let me go in and readjust my budget. And boom, you got someone who can do it for you for $25. And then it goes into like, how do you make sure you're getting the right person and all of this other stuff, which is super, super, super easy. As a matter of fact, I teach you how to do this in my Kindle Cashflow training at kindlecashflow.com/webinar. Which is actually a great time for me to do a training, a commercial right now. So if you're looking to learn how to publish books on Kindle and you are new at doing it, go over and watch my free training over at www.kindlecashflow.com/webinar. All right, so now the first objection is to, no one's going to be able to do it as well as I can, right? The second objection was, I don't have money to be able to afford someone or a team to go in and do it, and that's a myth. You can go in and, like I said, start really small and get used to it. $5, $10, $20. This is how I started, and I still do this to this day, to be honest with you, with certain projects. So there's no excuse to do it. And then the third one, what was the third one? I forget what the third one was. The third one was, where do you actually find people, right? And I gave you those 2 sites. It was Fiverr, and then it was Upwork. And then the other thing that I want to add on to this is, so when I first got started out, right, here's what the third one was. It's like I said, I would stay up to like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning trying to figure some of this stuff out. And then I said, you know what? Why am I going crazy trying to figure this out on my own when I can hire someone who already knows how to do it? If I hire someone who already knows how to do it, then that eliminates the problem of me trying to learn how to do it, because I can go in and I can get someone who has the expertise, right? Now, you might be thinking, well, Ty, what if they know that I don't know how to do it and now they're trying to jib me, right? They're trying to overcharge me. You know, your instinct will kick in, right? Listen to your instinct and it will kick in. And as you get better, this is why I say go in and hire people for these smaller jobs so that you get used to it. And as you do that more and more often, your spidey sense will kick in and you'll know, right? And sure, you might get burned 1 or 2 times, but if it's $5 or $10, $20, right, then it's not gonna matter much. It's a learning cost, right? Chalk it up as a learning cost. So I started to do that, and it allowed me to really build my business rapidly, much faster. I started looking at other people, my competitors, and guys who were doing the same thing, and it would take them, 3 months to accomplish something that I could get done in like 3 weeks, because now I knew the formula, the secret. Go in and hire someone who already does it. Dan Sullivan actually talks about this, and he published this book years after I figured this out, like 2 decades after I figured this out. And it's a book called Who Not How. It's a great book. And I wish I had this book when I was figuring this all out in a way that I'm sharing with you. But in it, Dan says exactly what I just told you. Don't try to figure out how to do it. Try to figure out who you can get that already knows how to do it, and then you pay that person to do it. All right? So Who Not How is a great book by Dan Sullivan. It will save you the years that it took me to learn this stuff. All right? It's a great book, but I just gave you the premise of it. It is not trying to do it all yourself, but figuring out who you can get to help you instead of learning how you get to do it. All right, so who, not how. So hopefully you got some value out of this. Let me know if there's other things that you want to know as it relates to, building out your digital publishing business. What are some things there's so many things that I know that can give you an advantage. And sometimes you've been doing this stuff for so long that the easy, obvious stuff is not so obvious to share with someone else sometimes. So whatever questions you have, I like to always say there's no such thing as a dumb question. Post it in the comments or in the chat box, wherever you're watching this. And I'll definitely go in and create a training around it. All right, so peace. There you go. I'm almost at the gym. I'm like 1 minute away. So I'm gonna go in, get my workout on, spend some time in here, then go back and head to my coaching call. Oh, speaking of this, by the way, if you need help with building out your digital publishing business, you can speak to either myself or one of my coaches. My GPS is totally off today. It's a good thing I know this area. By going to kindlecashflow.com/call. So kindlecashflow.com/call. And we'll jump on like a little quick 30-minute, 15-minute call with you. We'll help you to get a better understanding of how do you build out your digital publishing business so that it doesn't take you forever, and you can start hopefully seeing success much quicker than it took me. I've already made all the mistakes. I've got the lumps, I've got the bruises. I put the blood, sweat, and tears and time into it so that you don't have to. All right, I'll see you. Peace out. Enjoy your day. Go in and get more done. And when you learn how to do that, you also have a great quality of life. I think you can have it all. I think you can have a great business. I think you can have a great, not even think, I know because I do this. You can have a great, here's my gym right here. You can have a great personal life. You can have a great family life. You can have a great business. All right. I love you guys. Peace.